I wish to make the following announcement to show compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act known as Senator Byron M. Baird Open Public Meetings Act, which was amended supplemented Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of the State of New Jersey passed 1975. Notice of this meeting was given by adopting the annual schedule of location, time, and date, sending copies to the Home News Tribune, posting in Borough Hall, filing a copy with the Borough Clerk within 7 days following the annual organization meeting of this body. I ask you to rise now for a invocation given by Councilwoman Rasmussen, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
I'd like to welcome all guests and residents here today. I would like to remind everyone that it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so I would like to take a moment of silence to remember all, victims and their families and survivors.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Katie, can we have a roll call, please?
Yes, Mayor. Councilman Wallace?
Here.
Councilwoman Rasmussen?
Here.
Councilwoman Insero? Here. Councilman Grazel?
He'll be here.
He's here. He's down the hallway talking to somebody, I believe.
Okay.
Councilman Camerano?
Here.
Council President Muldoon?
Here. Could I have a motion to open the agenda session?
I move that we open the agenda session.
Okay, there are two items I'd like to call your attention to. Item C under communication consent, which is a block party that came in late for Home Street, which was added. And also under the, new business consent agenda, item Y, 2013-202, which is a resolution authorizing the police department to apply for a grant. Any other council members have items?
Mayor, I have one thing, just to update the council and the public. Tonight, the council members will be receiving a draft of our complete streets resolution and policy. The mayor, Councilman Wallace, and I met with borough attorney, borough administrator, borough planner, and engineer last week to finalize our complete street resolution. I think most of you will know that we've been working on this for several months. So the complete street resolution will not be addressed tonight. It will be on the October 21st meeting, and at that point it will be introduced. But I just wanted to give everybody an update. The council will receive the copy of the resolution and have a chance to do some final review.
I also believe we had a police department representative there, too.
Oh, yes, thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't write everything down.
Okay.
So,
Any other items?
Yes, I would like to bring up the request of the Shade Tree Commission not to have another member, but if they could have a secretary appointed. There is a person interested in being a secretary. There would be a non-voting member and actually a non-member. They have paperwork and everything that's entailed in the new Tree of Life program, and this person is willing to handle that aspect for them.
Well, I don't think by law we could expand it. I think you have the right to have somebody do that job from your group.
All right, Your Honor, I checked the ordinance, and we are allowed to have a secretary who is not a member.
Okay,
and
then
we
if
do
you
not have someone.
If you give me a name next meeting, we will appoint that person.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay?
I have two items, Mayor.
Okay?
At the Country Fair Saturday, I was at the Traffic and Transportation booth and also the Senior Citizens booth. And at both places, we were handing out surveys on the pedestrian flag pilot program, which, as everyone knows, is being piloted at 2 intersections. And I'm sure Councilman Wallace will be talking more about this during his report. But tying in with what Council President Muldoon was talking about with complete streets, it seems to me that it would also make sense to have these surveys online and also perhaps for a week or two at the senior center and maybe also at the senior apartments, which is located down the block from where one of these intersections are. The survey looks like this. We got a lot of comments from senior citizens when they filled out the survey. They were very interested in talking to us about traffic and transportation, and I think it would be great to have their voices heard since, maybe they couldn't get around at the fair on Saturday, I'm not sure. And, they're also at a higher risk of pedestrian
I think
accidents.
it's a good idea, but I don't know if we have any contact with the senior citizen housing on Lincoln Avenue.
I've actually been there before for Cub Scouts, so I'm happy to call them up.
Okay,
I've been there.
that's good.
So it's not a problem.
Okay?
My second item is also ironically related to what Councilwoman Rasmussen just brought up. I thought it would be a great idea if, on our website, if we had a section about volunteerism where we could list out any vacancies we had on our boards and commissions, all in one section under volunteers, and then had an application so that people could just go to the website and see where we might have vacancies on boards and commissions and have an application that they could fill out. This is done in a lot of other municipalities. Two examples I have are Morris Township and Washington Borough in Warren County, and there are many others. So it would just make it really easy for people to see if they were interested in getting more involved in the borough as far as what's available.
I
Okay,
believe
Katie,
we
I
have-
think you do that already.
We
We
have,
have
we
the
have an
application.
application out there. We don't have a specific list of open slots on each board and commission, because we get a lot of resignations throughout
Right.
the year. But we do have an application, and when they do come through the webmaster, I keep them and provide them to the mayor for when it's time for appointments, when we're looking for people to appoint.
Okay.
So, I
If
mean,
we could, is there a way, because I know the application is there, but it's a bit,
Very.
you got to kind of hunt to find it.
yes.
But if we did have something that said volunteers and listed as we are aware of openings, and then have the link right to the application, that would make it easier for someone who's interested in, I think that's pretty much
Right.
what you're talking about, right?
Right.
If Bill and the mayor and the council would like, I can go ahead and have it linked that way. That's fine.
And I can email you some of the examples I've seen.
That's fine.
fine.
Because we could talk with Morris, right, to see.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else from the council? Can we have a motion to
That we
close?
close the agenda session?
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We now have a presentation to the First Aid Squad from the car, truck, motorcycle benefit presentation. Gentlemen, would you please come forth? First, up here, and First Aid Squad members, whoever would like to come up. Okay?
Split everybody, I guess. Goes this way, look at that way. Okay. For those of you who might be aware of this, we've been running a benefit car show for our local rescue squad, and this past August was our 4th year doing this. And I'm proud to say that each year we've managed to do a little more until unfortunately this year, the economy being what it was, we were a little off the mark, but we still did rather well. As overall, we've managed to raise over $3,600 since the show began for our local rescue squad.
And I would like to, do you want to add more, or is there?
It's one other little piece I'm going to say is, hopefully there'll be no natural disasters before or after the presentation of this check.
So without any further ado, we'd like to present a check for $1,000 to the rescue squad.
Thank you very much. You're very much
The other thing is, I'd like to add, is we are constantly looking for anybody to be willing to help us with this show, with pre-show solicitation, with day of show,
Planning.
Planning for the show, day of show operations where we need people to, help park, anything like that that you could do, we'd appreciate it. Which is, the more the show can grow, the more we can generate for our rescue squad. And it also brings people into the town, which I don't think is a bad thing.
Would anybody from the First Aid Squad want to say something?
We're just very appreciative to these folks and everybody else who is given donations. We are a volunteer organization, and we just do this because we love doing and helping others in our community. So we truly appreciate everybody's generosity, and I just want to say thank you.
You're very welcome.
Yes.
We appreciate all that you do for us in the town, for the members of the community, the residences, and the hours that you put out there in volunteering. So we thank you for all of your effort. Thank you very much. And Ben and Alan, thank you again.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Councilman Camerano, I notice is your liaison, so if you'd like to say
Step
something.
down.
I would.
Push down.
Thank you, Your Honor. I think, as always, the members of the squad are very humble, and I think you saw that in their gratitude tonight. But as their liaison, I can tell you I have learned tremendously about what they do day in and day out and what goes into running the squad. I don't think most people realize they're not technically they don't fall within the borough jurisdiction like the fire department does. And they are out there on their own, and they work day and night. They struggle to respond to calls at all hours of the night. And many of their challenges are fundraising. So we do appreciate the commitment you've made to them, and the money goes a long way. But it's something that they struggle with and work very hard to do. I have sat through many meetings when in the middle of the meeting, two or three of them run out because they have to respond to a call. So I think they're always very understated in when you give them the platitudes, but I think they deserve it. And I think, I know they do a lot of fundraising. They're not professional fundraisers, but every little bit helps, so we do appreciate it.
Thank you.
After living in this town for 54 years, this rescue squad is one of the things, I mean, not to belittle anybody else, but it is one of the things I've learned that I can count on when my parents were older, and it didn't matter, as you say, when we called, what the problem was. We called and said, we need help. I barely got the phone hung up, and they were there.
Thank you. Any other council member? Okay, I'm going to open it now to the public for questions or comments. If you have a question or comment, please come forth, state your name, address.
Grace Shackney, 110 Columbia Avenue. Since you were talking about appointments to boards, I just wanted to comment a little bit about the process. On the Arts Council, we've had people appointed to the Arts Council, and then they didn't even know they were, and it's kind of awkward. And we do a little orientation on the Arts Council. We give them the bylaws. I contact people personally, invite them to the first meeting, give them the bylaws. We have them sign the papers Ron always brings in. But that wasn't always done in the past, and it's not done with some of the other boards and commissions as well. And I know other people who suddenly got a phone call saying, why didn't you come to that meeting? They didn't even know that they were appointed to the commission. So I would just encourage you to look at that process a little bit. A lot of people apply and ask me why they haven't heard anything. But the thing that most disturbs me is when people are appointed and they don't even know it. And they didn't even want to be. And then there are people who really want to be. So if you could just examine the process a little better, I'd be happy to help you.
Okay.
With the organization of it afterwards.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, I'm going to close that section of the meeting. Council President?
Yes. Now we move on to the ordinances.
Right.
I move to rescind the first reading of ordinance number 2013-13.
Okay. It's not to rescind, to vote it down. To rescind the...
Let me restate that.
And that's my fault.
Okay.
I move to rescind and reject the first reading of ordinance 2013-13.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? No, a roll call vote.
Councilman Camerano?
I just want to get this right. So
You-
an affirmative vote
Yes.
would,
A yes
would reject it.
would reject the ordinance.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
let me just tell you where you're at procedurally. You've had a first reading. It's been listed for a public hearing for a second reading. You opened it up to the public, and we've heard from the public. That was adjourned till this meeting. What you have in front of you now is a motion and a second to rescind the first reading as well as reject the ordinance. So a yes vote would be essentially a no vote
That's
on,
what I want to make sure. Okay.
on the ordinance.
Is that clear to the public? By voting yes and to the council, if you vote yes, that means we are voting this resolution down.
Ordinance.
Or sorry, ordinance
Ordinance.
down.
It's not logical, but it makes sense.
Okay?
It's government.
Okay, Katie, you can continue.
Councilman Grayzel?
Yes.
Councilwoman Insero?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rasmussen?
Yes.
Councilman Wallace?
Yes.
Council President Muldoon?
Yes.
Okay.
So just for the record, the ordinance has been rejected and it has no effect.
And no standing.
No.
Okay?
And if, I mean, were to come back up, there would have to be a first reading.
And notice.
The process would have to start again.
Okay.
So, procedural question. So with that accomplished, on a new business consent agenda,
Yes.
the first, number A, is the resolution setting the minimum bid. That would
Why
need to
don't
be...
we vote that down right now, too? Take it individually, if that's okay, council?
Yeah, what you could do is, I mean, I would, and I was going to bring that up, I mean.
When we get here, we can-
Yeah, you could, I mean, you should pull it from the consent agenda, and then, if there's not a motion or a second, I mean, and just to go back to procedurally, one of the things you did with the ordinance is, if the ordinance came up and there wasn't a motion and a second to approve it on second reading, it dies. Well, similar to the resolution. If there's not a motion to approve it and a second and then a vote, it dies. So, I mean, you can bring it up, move it, second, and then, I mean, or you could,
Doesn't it fall of its own weight?
If we don't do it as part of the consent agenda. Yeah.
it's, actually, no, it's not moved.
Even if you reject the ordinance?
Because the resolution can still, you can still set a minimum bid and then reintroduce the ordinance.
Okay.
And that's why I feel comfortable with moving it and voting it down.
Okay.
All right, so I'll do
So
that now.
let's do that.
Move it and vote it down.
Move it and vote it down,
Okay.
okay? So, council, you want to do that right now for that one resolution?
Sure, if we, all right.
So I guess it would be a motion to pull it from the consent, if you want to do it all in one, I mean, shot. You're going to move it to remove it from the consent agenda
Right.
and reject Resolution 2013-168. A yes vote will be in the negative, the same, that a yes vote would
Okay.
reject it, if that's the motion and the second.
All right, so I move that we pull from the consent agenda and reject Resolution 2013-168.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Okay, we are at,
Looking at the smiling faces out there,
okay, we are with the other ordinance now.
right. Okay, so now we're moving on to the second reading of...
Okay.
Katie, will you present an affidavit of publication?
Said ordinance has been published one time in the Home News Tribune according to law on September 23rd, 2013.
Thank you. I move that affidavit be received and filed.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Katie, would you read that ordinance by title?
Ordinance 2013-14, refunding bond ordinance of the Borough of Metuchen in the County of Middlesex, New Jersey, providing for the refunding of a portion of the borough's outstanding general improvement bonds of 2004 dated December 1, 2004, appropriating not to exceed $12 million, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $12 million refunding bonds of the borough for financing the cost thereof.
Okay, I'm going to open it to the public now for any discussion or questions on this ordinance and this ordinance only. This will give the CFO the capability of jumping into the market at a time that's favorable to the borough for the refinancing. Okay? Hearing no questions or comments, I'm going to close that section of the meeting.
I move that ordinance 2013-14 be passed on second reading and published according to law.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's a roll call vote.
Councilman Camerano?
Yes.
Councilman Grayzel?
Yes.
Councilwoman Insero?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rasmussen?
Yes.
Councilman Wallace?
Yes.
Council President Muldoon?
Yes. Mayor, I move that communication consent agenda items A through D be approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Our reports of, now we're at that point with reports of the council. I'm sorry.
No, you're on
Reports. It's officials. It's
Who did this?
Report of officials.
Who did that?
which one? I'm looking at the best
Number
practices
8.
inventory.
Yes, yeah, that's on the back page.
Oh, it's on my front.
Okay.
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 Oh, I'm sorry.
You want to speak on that? Bill?
Sure. As in prior years, this year's state fiscal year 2014 Appropriations Act requires that the Division of Local Government Services determine how much of each municipality's final 5% allocation of CMP TRA and ETR aid will be dispersed based on the results of a best practices inventory to be completed by each municipality. This year, as in the past, the CFO and I have gone through the inventory. You have a copy with the answers that we have provided. We are, again, and hope always to be in the category of answering enough questions appropriately so that there will be no penalty and we will not lose any percentage of those two, what are called state aids, but are really municipal, municipal funds that are collected by the state and then returned to the municipalities. I guess the question is whether there are any questions on the inventory. I would note that some of these are difficult to answer because of the way that they're written, and quite honestly, some don't apply, or on the contrary, some would be expensive to implement. And so I'm not exactly sure where they come up with some of these things and who determines that that something is a best practice, which may be in one municipality but may not in others.
Your Honor, if I may.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we did well. We're in the top tier, but I think we can actually do better. We're very close to doing better. A couple of things that kind of are glaring to me are the question about the minutes to the board meetings for the various zoning, planning, governing body. The governing body, I mean, I actually think in this case we ought to explain to them that we may not have our minutes entirely up to date, but we have something that probably very few, if any, municipalities have. And our meetings are available streaming. I don't know if anybody has done it, but you can go online and search a meeting, click on the agenda item, and you will get the streaming video of the discussion that took place. And I think that's something worth noting in here, that we've gone beyond what's really required in that sense. On the other hand, where we have kind of fallen off, and a little disappointed in this, and I noticed it last week, is the minutes to the meetings of the Planning and Zoning Board, which doesn't have video. They have not been updated all year. They haven't been approved. I did speak to some folks, but I think we need to do a better job on that, particularly because it's the only way somebody who wants to research a meeting can find out what happened. There's no video, there's no TV. So I think we need to do a much better job on that. The other area, you know, again, we do have a finance committee. It was established this year. So we didn't get a yes score, we got a perspective, because going forward we do. But it's something we did before we had this. So, I mean, there is some room for growth, but there's room where we did a lot of things already. We just need to fine tune them. I know we're not facing any penalty because we scored in the highest bracket, but instead of an 84%, it'd be great to have a 95% or 100% or something like that. So I think we need to work towards that as we go forward.
We
I know we can't get 100%.
definitely are. I mean, there are some, if they are on here next year, will be answered yes. So I
Some
mean,
of them
it's-
seem pretty simple for us to achieve.
Yeah,
It's
well,
just a matter of
the thing is that they come up with new ones every year.
I noticed that. They change what the
Well, and they take the goofy ones off. So there must be some, although I haven't seen it, some feedback somehow from the municipalities. And one that we did, I'll note that we did answer actually prospective, was the one number 50, the last one actually, about the, does your municipality have a community rating system ranking of at least Class 9? Well, in talking to the borough engineer, he informed us that we have, as you're aware, very few areas that are prone to flooding, and I don't believe there's anything close being built next to them. But in order to get a ranking of a Class 9, you have to expend a considerable amount of money. So that may be one that you look at and you decide, well, I don't know where this comes from, but it doesn't make any sense to me. I'm assuming people living up in the northeastern part of the state don't have this problem either. But that's why it is, sometimes difficult to answer these.
Okay, any other questions? Do we need a resolution to adopt this? Or
No, actually, the finance officer and I and the clerk
have to sign off.
sign off on it, and it goes into the state, and
Okay.
that's the end of it.
Okay. Then we're at the point where we have reports from the council members. Council President Muldoon.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have two things. The Historic Preservation Committee will be meeting tomorrow night at 7:30 upstairs here at Borough Hall. And the Parking Authority, as some folks will know, the Parking Authority is engaged in creating a parking management plan, which is to identify in detail and recommend mobility and parking strategies and management practices for the borough that sort of support the vision for our downtown shared by the Parking Authority and the borough government. So in support of that parking management plan, there's a short survey that we ask residents and visitors to the downtown to take advantage of. The survey will be up on our website this week, hopefully in a day or two. And it's a short survey, but it's an opportunity for the community to offer its input and suggestions and to help shape this parking management plan as it comes together over the coming months. So again, look for it on the borough website in the coming days. And that's all I have.
Okay. Councilman Wallace.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a number of things. Actually, most of the commissions I chair are this week, starting tomorrow night, Wednesday and everything. I do have a few things to say about it. The traffic and transportation, which is Wednesday night, I want to thank all the people that staffed that booth to get those surveys and everything during the fair. That was a long time-consuming thing. And they're going to have those surveys at the meeting Wednesday night. I already got a couple phone calls on that from the head people of the commission. So we will be going over them Wednesday night. just, I'll take a little something away from the mayor. I'm sure he would probably bring it up later. This is Fire Prevention Week, and Friday night is the open house at the firehouse, if you want to come down. The Recreation Commission, the Halloween parade is the 27th, that's Sunday. I think 31, 30, 29, 20, yeah, 27th. And that would be the open car trunk thing for candies, plus the tables and the parade around there. And again, like last year, it was very well attended, and it's supposed to be even bigger down there this year. And it takes a lot of kids off the streets at nighttime in the dark on Halloween night by doing this. It saved them some problems. I was at the auxiliary meeting the other night for our auxiliary police, and they were filling out their calendar for this month as I was there, and they have a busy month, and it's unbelievable the amount of time these people put in for, as we acknowledged when we gave them the resolutions a couple weeks ago for a couple guys who retired. For a small group of people, they really, and one of the major things they'll be handling this month is the Blue Mass, which is the 16th, happens to be that special election day. So they're making arrangements to make sure Main Street's not blocked off to get people to the polls that want to go during the day and everything. Because they're supposed to be pretty heavily attended, because Hunterdon County is in charge of it this year, setting it up with our police department, and they want to make sure they have no blockages for people wanting to vote and going to Campbell School, which has 4 voting districts at it.
Hey, Jim, on that subject, and I don't know much about this Blue Mass thing, but when you mentioned Hunterdon County's, you can say hosting it, because obviously we are, don't other towns, can't this take place in future years at other churches? Like, why is it always here? I know it's with the
In the
The
cathedral.
bishop's here.
In the
They
pit,
used to rotate it.
They used to rotate it.
Diocese, they
Yeah.
can
They used to rotate it.
give
and
somebody else a
then
chance and
A
have
couple
them.
of years ago, they decided they were going to make it permanent at the cathedral. And it is a problem, and I know, Mayor, you've spoken with the police about the voting issue this year, which is unusual. And I think the police have done a good job, but, you know, it is an issue every year when they block Main Street, and we're hoping that that won't continue. But I think it's here to stay for the foreseeable future.
And who, that's put on by the
It's put on by the Diocese of Metuchen, which...
Hunterdon County is in the diocese.
Yeah,
of
Yeah,
Hunterdon, Somerset, and
The
Middlesex.
one thing we could request, and we would have to make a determination, is if they could do it on a Sunday, or like a Sunday afternoon, or a Saturday or something. The Saturday would be difficult. A Sunday afternoon, and I think they do I don't know when they do the fire.
The fire mass is usually on a Sunday.
Yeah, so I mean, we could make
Here,
that
too.
request,
Yeah.
but they've been resistant to doing that in the past. And frankly, I think, I'm not sure it's necessary. It's hard to predict what the turnout's going to be every year, and I think in some years, it may not be completely necessary to shut down Main Street during the day, but it's tough to predict year to year, as you know, Councilman. Turnout varies greatly, so we're going to have to kind of gauge it, but I mean, we have to think about whether or not we want to ask them to move it to a non-weekday. I think is probably one of the solutions.
Well, I know that the Fireman's Mass, I've been to both, but the Fireman's Mass on a Sunday works out quite well. Okay? It works out,
It takes a lot of time and resources from our department as well,
yeah.
and our auxiliaries and everybody else involved.
That's why I just thought if it could be shared among other towns, but it sounds like.
Well, different towns, like last year, Saraville was the host, and they work in conjunction with our guys for setting it up, and there's a lot of residual things that go on with it. And this year, Hunterdon County, instead of one town, Reddington actually was supposed to be the town that was gonna do it, and all the other towns up there wanted to get involved and share the glory or whatever. And Hunterdon County's supposed to be going all out, so it should be a pretty big turnout this year, at least from Hunterdon County. Big turnout.
But, I mean, I think we have to look at, obviously being the cathedral, they have a lot of big events. And I think they've had bigger events that probably haven't caused the traffic situations that we get with this event, because of timing and because of the road closures. So it's something we probably need to explore a little further.
I agree. Anything else, Councilman?
I think I covered everything. If I
Okay,
think of something later, I'll
okay. Councilwoman Rasmussen?
Okay, the Shade Tree Commission, they were awarded the honorable mention for the second year in a row for their booth at the fair, and the theme was the Lorax, and I think they did a very good job, and I'm proud of them, and I think they feel good about, having something attractive for the community. And I also want to talk about something called Touchdowns and Trees. The New Jersey Tree Federation is partnering with the New Jersey and New York Super Bowl Host Committee, the NFL and Verizon, and the U.S. Forest Service. And what they're going to be doing is giving away 2,014 trees. And part of it is because of the damage from Sandy. The counties that are most affected, like Atlantic, Bergen, Cape May, et cetera, and including Middlesex. So if you live in one of these counties, you're eligible to receive a free tree. And applications to receive a free tree can be found at the New Jersey Tree Foundation website, and just look for Community Tree Giveaway. So if you're interested in getting a free tree. And also if you want to just email me at the borough, drasmussen@metuchen.com, I can give you the link for it, because it's really long to read. Okay.
So you're saying individually, not the borough will get one, but individual residences could...
Correct. Yeah, individual residents can apply to get a
Okay.
tree.
All right.
But all the information's on the website, so if you're interested in it, let me know, and I'll send you the link. And I'm sure they'll go fast. Also, the Tree of Life plaque had a very positive response at the fair. People were very interested in it. We actually brought it there for people to see it, and the names of people who have already donated and had the names inscribed was there. So please feel free to check it out the next time you're here at Borough Hall. And also, Youth Services Board had a very successful Recovery Night event. The speakers had great stories that we could all identify with. And part of the message was that recovery is real, and let's abolish the stigma of drug addiction and call it what it is, a disease like cancer or diabetes. Just like no one treatment works for cancer or diabetes, it is the same for addiction. Do not give up if one treatment does not work. Also coming up Saturday, October 26th, is Medicine Take Back Day from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m., and the location will be forthcoming. And also the NCADD, which is the National Council on Alcoholism and Drug Dependence, has received the community's mentorship grant for the purpose of mentoring our municipal alliance. The goal is to strengthen our alliance by providing resources and training to increase our alliance's reach in providing prevention services to our community, while training the members and leadership of the Alliance in skills necessary to be competitive in applying for additional funding. The grant provides training and resources which would otherwise be unobtainable for a community our size. And what else do I have? Also, the Youth Services Board is doing something called Treasure Hunt, which is going to be a fundraiser that will be running October 12th, October 19th, and October 26th at the Pearl Street parking lot. It is like a yard sale at the parking lot. Each space will be $10, and if you do not have a table to bring, or you want to just bring a blanket, you can rent a table for $5. Since there is no fall yard sale, we thought it would be a great fundraiser for the Alliance. It will be running from 9 o'clock in the morning till 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You can register at 908-565-3004, and late registrations will be accepted on the day of the event. If you just feel like coming down that day and bring some stuff, you can just come on down. And the Environmental Commission had a very positive response to their petition for the Greenway extension at the fair. I also want to remind people to recycle, put an effort in to save taxpayer dollars and your dollars. And also, the Environmental Commission is talking to the BIL about having a solar house tour, and that'll be very interesting if we can get that done. And with development, during the meeting, they brought up a discussion about fair trade designation, and I think at a later date, some members in the community that are interested in seeing if the town can get that designation will come here to present it. But basically, fair trade is Marafiki, and the To Be Continued bookstore has some fair trade there, and it is about protecting the environment by recycling in the products materials which would be normally discarded. Poverty alleviation by providing a living wage to people and direct market access, thereby eliminating the middleman who would normally absorb most of the profits. And it assists people lifting them out of poverty. And also, I think they were reviewing the property maintenance codes and discussing if any changes could be made to improve facades downtown and just improve in general the look of our town. And that's it.
Thank you. Councilwoman Insero?
Thank you, Mayor. The Board of Health is meeting October 16th, and besides the heating ordinance, we'll also be looking at the health requirements that might come into play with a dog park that's being discussed. During Saturday's Country Fair, Councilman Grazel and I were talking with a councilman from Woodbridge who was very involved with the creation of a dog park there, and he mentioned that health requirements, we need to look at those, and it's fortunate that we have a Board of Health meeting coming up, so our health officer is going to be talking to us about what's required there. So our Board of Health meeting is open to the public, so if anyone's interested in attending, come on down on October 16th at 7:30. Also, I keep mentioning the Country Fair, and Angela Sealski is here from the Chamber, the coordinator of the 50th anniversary of the Country Fair. It was a huge success. I was there all day. I don't know if we have any facts or figures about it, but it was great weather. It was a great crowd, so thank you for that. It was a great time. Also from the Chamber, I don't remember if I announced this at the previous meeting or not, but the Farmers Market is being extended to November 23rd. It's not ending in October, so we have 5 more Saturdays to shop locally and buy fruits, vegetables, and probably other seasonal things that go into November, so that's very exciting. The Senior Citizens Commission, I expect to meet later in October. I'm not sure of the exact date yet. And MSI, their fundraising nonprofit arm, had a very successful luncheon a week ago Sunday at Camp Kitty Keatwell, and it was a very nice time. A lot of people attended, and that's my report.
Thank you.
Could I just say something before we move on? Angela, I think with the fair completed, that kind of ends your formal responsibilities on the Chamber, so just wanted to thank you for a great fair and for all of the work that you've done in the past several years. I don't know how many years. It seems like you've been here for a long time, but we appreciate everything you've done and wish you good luck in your future endeavors. We know we'll be seeing you, so, but just wanted to.
I plan on volunteering with many organizations and continuing to volunteer with the Chamber.
Great.
Okay.
Something I'm passionate about.
Thank you.
Very good.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Councilman Grazel?
Thank you, Mayor. The Borough Cable TV and Technology Commission was at the Metuchen Country Fair conducting a public survey on METV, the Borough website, and the Metuchen Government Facebook page. We'd appreciate it if the citizens of Metuchen would visit our Borough website and locate the survey on the first page and fill it out. It asks for information regarding your evaluation of our presence in these different media fields, and your feedback is important in helping us set policy. The Borough Administrator is presently reviewing a recommended social media policy drafted by the Commission, and we hope to have a final version ready for review by the Mayor and Council in the near future. This Sunday, we have a very exciting event that has sponsored in part by the Metuchen Art Council, the Gallery Walk. It's this Sunday, October 13, 2013, between 1 and 5. It will feature 4 separate art shows, one here at the Rotunda Gallery at Borough Hall, the Nails in the Wall Gallery at St. Luke's, Transformations at the BIL, and the VAM Art Gallery in downtown Metuchen. We are very, very excited about the idea of showing off our artistic showcases here in town. These art shows will feature works by local and international artists. We hope you'll start at Borough Hall, where you can pick up a map and walk to the other destinations. At each stop, there will be refreshments provided by the Metuchen Inn, Haley's Pub, Breezes, and Prick Prow. There will also be a musical performance outside the front of Borough Hall by the Kevin Hildebrandt Trio. One of the things I'd like the public to take note of at this particular gallery walk is the artistic community in Metuchen is very much about creativity and providing an outlet for local artists to show their works and share their creations with the public. But the Arts Council also believes that arts is important for the business development of Metuchen. And I think you'll see that this weekend, because we're going to be bringing people in from out of town. We've already created a number of buzz in the arts community in the greater New Jersey area about what's happening in Metuchen, and this will bring traffic right into the downtown. So we're really looking forward to this event, and I hope the public will come out and support it. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Camerano?
I was going to ask to just comment on what Ron said. I have experienced so many wonderful musical performances, art displays, and I think that the artists in our town are just a wonderful group of people. They're so dedicated to bringing art and music to people, and every time I go to an event, I see so many new faces, people coming in, and I'm really grateful that I can live in a community where people care so much. And also, just for myself, I can't believe that I can sit in Metuchen at a performance at the old schoolhouse, sit there with a glass of wine and feel like I've been transformed into a New York, nightclub or night spot, and then I can walk home 3 blocks. I think it is just amazing, and I thank you all.
Thank you. Councilman Camerano?
Thank you, Your Honor. The Library Board will meet tomorrow, and we'll continue the interview process for the selection of a new librarian. We have narrowed it down, and we're kind of entering the final stage, so we hope to have a decision in the near future on who that individual will be. I would note that the Friends of the Library, although I'm not officially their liaison, did hold their annual book sale Saturday, like they do every year. Business did appear to be brisk. I was really surprised. Started early and it went for a long time. So I'm hopeful it was successful when we get the final tally, because as many of you know, that's money that generally gets donated to the library itself for improvements or projects or programming. So I'm hopeful it was successful. I know there was some concern they didn't have enough books in the inventory, but it appeared like there were a lot of people there. The Pool Commission will meet next week and discuss kind of a wrap-up of the season this year, which appeared to go well, and talk about some changes for next year and some improvements. And then the EMS, who was here tonight, meets later in the month, so I'll have a report for them at this point.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bill, do you have a report?
I have no report.
Dennis?
No, Mayor, I have no.
I have just a couple of things. Again, thank you, Angela. You dialed up a great day on Saturday. I don't know how many people, but it seemed to be, in my mind, I've been to a number of fairs, I think 30 or so, but it was a steady flow of people throughout the day. And the year before, when it got cold and windy, people were packing up. I think people were still going after 4, and it took a while for to clear the street for DPW to do their job. But it was a great day for the borough, and hopefully for the merchants too. I also want to thank the first aid squad, the police, the fire, the auxiliary, and our one group that gets overlooked is because they end up with the cleanup after is the DPW. So they did a great job. It was my daughter's birthday, and I had to be at a restaurant downtown after the cleanup, and that was within an hour or so after the fair, and things were, spick and span. They were really good. So they deserve some accolades also. Next meeting, we are inviting the people from the Girl Scouts, and I will be appointing the members to the dog park. I've had more and more people interested in working on this committee. So we will be doing that on the 21st. And a reminder that it is Fire Prevention Week, and the firehouse will be open on Friday evening, I believe, from 6 o'clock on.
6 to 9, I think.
6 to 9. So stop by, thank our firefighters for the job that they do, and have a tour of the building, see some of our equipment, and talk to them and show your appreciation to them. And I know that we're trying to address, Councilman, the blue mass, because with the election on the 16th, it's going to add to the, problems that we're going to have to deal with the blue mass in the morning and then the election through the day. So it's going to be a very busy day here in town. So, we're working on that. And that concludes my report.
Your Honor, I move that new business consent agenda items B through Y be approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries.
Your Honor, I move that the bill resolution in the amount of $3,440,774.57 be approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to be appointing Patrick Lobdell to the Traffic and Transportation. Could you move that, please?
I move the appointment of Patrick Lobdell to the Traffic and Transportation Committee.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to open it to the public for any questions or comments. Hearing none? Sorry?
Angela Sealsey, 68 Forest Street. This is impromptu. I very much appreciate the support of everybody here with your work with the Chamber. I wanted to, again, thank the police, fire, rescue, especially DPW. They do amazing work. And that's what helps us create successful events every year. And it not only helps our merchants, it helps our nonprofits in the area. I heard many of you saying the groups that you represent had very positive feedback from it. So we just wanted to thank everybody. There is a large committee of us that work together to kind of continue the tradition, and I just really would like to thank everybody, and especially the Metuchen Chamber of Commerce. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Just come up, state your name and address.
Linda Listella, 242 Amboy Avenue. I just would like to reiterate some of what Ron spoke about in terms of the gallery walk. We are really excited about that. And one of the things that I'd like to highlight that Ron really didn't mention is the fact that, and I see it as really distinctive and quite unusual, the gallery walk was created by the 4 permanent galleries here in Metuchen. We work collaboratively, not in competition. And so everything we did over the past year that we've really been in the planning of this has been in a real collaborative mode. We have really excellent, high-quality art. Here at Borough Hall, one of the finest artists here who is a local Metuchen resident, extremely wonderful artist, shows in New York and yet is willing to show here for the populace here. And as Ron said, others that include international pieces of art. So I do encourage everyone to come out. Again, in addition to the artists and the galleries, we involved the local businesses, and so there are restaurants involved, in the process as well. So thank you for the word, and I invite everyone to share it with friends and family and come join us.
Thank you, Mrs. Listella. We appreciate all that you do. Any other comments or questions from the public? Hearing none, close that section of the meeting.
I move for adjournment.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you for a very good meeting.